Taking a look at some more Module 6 action here, we've got Lesson 5 going on this time. And looking over the lesson, what I'm going to do is this lesson right here, this question, is very similar to the next one. And it's what I'm having you do is kind of take a look at different lines that connect to each other, thinking about parallel, perpendicular, things that the different points along a line have in common with each other. So I'm skipping number 1 and I'm going number 2 because it gets a little more complicated, and so that way when we do this in class it can feel a little bit more familiar to you, hopefully. So we are on 2 and I've got some reading going on tonight. Plot the following points, it's saying. So plot means that we have to find them on the chart. Plot the following points on the coordinate plane. That's this. And it's a plane because it's kind of two-dimensional to the right. And so we're going to find H first. And you remember the deal that when you have coordinates, it's X that comes before Y, and here's some fancy cursive for you. X and Y that you walk before you fly. So this is line X right here, and this one going upright, the vertical line, is Y. So we can see here, and they've already labeled it. We don't have to label it this time. Sometimes you have to. 3/4 3. So we start at 0, and we can see that this is half, and this is 1, so therefore this must be 1/4, 1/2. This is 3/4, and it says we're going to go all the way up to 3. Here's this point, and we're going to label it H. Now let's put a check mark, done it. Let's go to I. 3/4, 2.5. So we're going to go over the same distance to 3/4, and I'm going to go ahead and label it just because I can. 3/4. Feel free whenever you've got something like this, and if they don't include it all, it seems it keeps showing up again, go ahead and label it. Makes it easier. Now we're heading on up to 2.25, and so if we cruise on up to here we're at 2. If we went to the next one that's labeled, it says 2.5. So we know from working with fractions that it's actually between 2 and 2.5 is 2.25. So this one we're going to label I. Check. J, 3/4 and 1/2. So we're back at 3/4 again. This time it's labeled at 1/2. So this is going to be point J. Check. Last one for this is 3/4, 1 3/4. So if we head on up to 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4. And this is a letter K. Check. Now it says use a straight edge to draw a line connecting these points. So if I put something on here, let's see how it works. See if I can do this. It's going to be kind of difficult with a straight edge on my digital input board. Yep, I'm going to have to go over a little further. Let's try it. Oh, it's working. Arrow. Arrow. Okay, so that was actually a Kid Stop catalog that was laying on my nightstand. Wow, that was pretty cool. Alright, and then we label the line F. So this is line F. And it's cursive, again, just like they have. In line F, X is equal to, and remember we labeled it because we used it every single time. So we can say X is 3/4. And you can see that every time. 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. It's got that in common. And we've probably talked about this in class, but okay, so the X's are all in common, therefore we are perpendicular to the X because they all have that in common. Circle the correct word. So line F, we just talked about it, that it's perpendicular to the x-axis, which means that it's parallel to the y. So parallel, if this is y, our line is parallel with it. And the other one, if this is the x-axis, our line is perpendicular to it. And remember, it means that you've got that whole 90-degree angle going on in there, the right angle. What pattern occurs in the coordinate plane pairs that make the F vertical? So the pattern that occurs is the X in the points is identical. Identical means it's the same. Identical. Parenthesis, same. Doesn't change. For each pair of points, think about the line that joins them. For which pairs is the line parallel to the x-axis? So remember that if they were all the same, it meant it was perpendicular to the x-axis. So on this one, what we're looking for then, if the y is the same, then it's going to be perpendicular to the y and parallel then to the x. So this one, 8 and 8, those are the x's, those are the same, so it's going to be perpendicular to x. This one right here, we have 6.5 and 12, 6 and 2/10. Remember, if we converted that to a fraction, it would be 2/10. So these ones don't match up at all. So without plotting them, explain how you know. So 7 is the y point for both. Meaning, make a little line here, meaning a line parallel, P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L, to x. Because remember, if this is, let's say, an A, and you have a dot here, and you've gone over 1, and you have a dot here because you went over 3. So this is A1 and A3. That means your line's going to go this way, which is parallel to that. And it didn't work with either of the others, so we don't have to explain anything there. For each of the points below, think about how the line that joins them, for which pair is the line parallel to x. Or sorry, to y. Ha! Misread that. So it's going to be parallel to the y. So it's going to be a vertical line, right? Because y is vertical. So these ones, just like this one that we did here, remember? The x's were the same, and it got our vertical line. So this time we're going to be looking for x's that are the same. 3 and 2/10 or 3 and 22/100. Nope. Nope. This one, 13 and 1/3, 13 and 1/3. These match. Therefore, this line's going to be vertical. This one, here's our match, but it's in the y. So that's not going to work. That's going to end up parallel to x. So then give two coordinate pairs that would also fall on this line. So this is our answer. That's the one that we know is going to end up being a vertical line. That means it's parallel to the y. And so now we have to come up with two more points that are also going to be on that same line. We know that the x has to be 13 and 1/3. 13 and 1/3. 13 and 1/3. And then we can make the y's whatever we want. So let's make this one a 1 and 1/3, because we can see right here that they were operating in thirds. And then we'll make this one, let's make it bigger than this one. We'll make it 8 and 2/3. There. Done. Did that. Let's take a look at the exit ticket. I will have given you today in class the paper that goes with this, because it's like so much going on there. I'm not going to expect you to go through and copy it all when you do your homework. That's a pain in the bahonkus. So on here, what it's asking you to do, it's giving you the graph. You can see here they already have point A and point B on here. Use a straight edge to construct a line. So all you're going to do is just draw a line in between these two the way I did. Label the line L. Here's how you make a cursive L, like that. Which axis is parallel to line L? Which axis is perpendicular to line L? So that, remember, your 90-degree angle is what's involved in this one. Remember. Plot 2 more points on line L, and then you name them a C and a D. So it's going to fall on this line somewhere. C and D. And then it's asking you to give the coordinates in here for these ones. So I'm going to, just as a reminder, show you A, and then you can use what you know to make B, C, and D. So A, we can see if we've gone over, if this is 5, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and if this is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can see that A is 4 over on the X, and then where did we go over here? That's a 6. 4, 6. Give the coordinates of another point that falls on there within a y coordinate greater than 20. So they're asking you again to fill in these blanks with another point, and this point right here has to be greater than 20. That's the one that you're going to put here. It has to be a line bigger than that, and you don't have to plot it on here. All it's asking you is to say where is it going to be. And it's pretty obvious, because if it's on the same line, you know the X is going to be a 4. Pretty easy. See you tomorrow. Bye.